so that we don't need to um, let's censor ourselves so we don't get censored. You know, a
And
little bit
Jesse, you
just
got
for
hella
flow
road
state's sake.
noise, so I'm gonna mute you until you need to unmute. I guess you muted yourself. All right,
But
carry on.
I just want to say I appreciate you having us on Flow State, and you know, these conversations are really important in my mind. You know, and that's why I really enjoy being, you know, a part of these conversations, because I think, you know, we're exploring a lot of very deep topics that a lot of other people don't necessarily go down on, go down into. So that's not
When you said
the
that,
wording I want to choose, but yeah, I
it
apologize for
worked
that.
out well. I'm pleased with the wording.
yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't think we should segue off too far into that, but you know, hey, like Nachikita says, man, it's like truth is truth, man. Even in a minority of one, and it's unfortunate that they have to silence people, because I truly believe that quote that says that, you know, um, when you cut out a man's tongue, you don't prove him to be a liar. You prove that you fear what he might say. And I think that means a lot. And you see a lot of places have laws passed even about talking about certain subjects, you know?
And I'm cool with subjects, but we just got to be smarter about the words.
Was it
The pen is mightier than the sword.
It was. There wasn't any one in particular thing, but the Jays, the
yeah.
conversation about the Jays, just sort of reminded me about that. I dropped an F bomb and Snaps dropped a V bomb, and it's like, you know what, this whole fucking thing is just asking for problems. So I'm gonna download it and re-upload it. You know, with a few little bits cropped out. I'll try to leave all the content. You know, the substance, but I'm at least cutting out my F bomb and Snaps' V bomb.
Fuck Snap. He's a something boy. I don't know, man. That whole crew over there, you know, it's just I don't know what I mean, I'm not I don't even know what they're doing these days, but Lord Almighty, I know I was kind of disappointed as you were when I came in, like before you were talking about Patrick had and him simping over for that. I think that's what it was about, and then you guys segued into something else, but you know, I couldn't believe I saw people do that. They'd go on there and say, "Oh, I've come correct," you know, like they were kissing up to their master or some shit. It was sickening, man.
Yeah, there's some weirdness for sure.
You got to bend the knee, Dave. You got to bend the knee if you go over to certain channels. You know, I mean, like.
That don't happen. So, I don't do that, man. To anybody ever.
I've had
That's
4
good.
YouTube channels deleted and one Facebook, my 13-year Facebook account deleted because of the stuff that I'm speaking of. So now when we talk about anything on YouTube that I think I might get a strike, I just put it to private, and then they don't bother me.
Yeah, that'll work. Shit. Why not? You shouldn't have to do that shit though. That's what I'm saying. That's just fruitcake shit right there. You know, why would you have to do any of that? I mean, is there really people that sensitive? I can't get over it, man. The people get so bent out of shape over what they deem as hurdy. Oh, these hurdy wordy words. I can't hear those. Don't do that. You're killing me with hurdy words and shit. And it's like, oh my God, man.
Well, that's not it at all. It's you know, secrets, right? They've got things to hide.
Well, it ain't hidden too goddamn well, I can tell you that.
I mean, I guess my F bomb is not something to hide. That's a hurdy word, but in a way it is, because I believe that there's an agenda. The whole it's, and not so much the G and the L and the B, but like the things after it. If that was sufficiently vague.
Oh, Decepticons.
I mean, no, I mean like it is what it is. I mean, if we're going to use their platform, you have to follow and abide by their rules. Whether you like it or not. Otherwise, we have to find somewhere else to go where it's quote unquote free speech. But there are conveniences of using this platform. Obviously, people are on here, so we have to kind of circumvent. I mean, we're smart enough to go around certain topics without having to use specific keywords, right?
Correct.
And
Nothing's gained by not having a channel,
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. It's like you were saying when Spazoid was up, and started his shenanigans. I was like, go over on your channel and fucking spout all that dumb shit. If you know it, I know it, and everybody here knows it. Why are you doing it? It'd be like, boy, I hate it when people come in my house with muddy boots on as they walk across your carpet with muddy boots on.
Well, his channel doesn't get watched.
I wonder why. Who wants to watch some crackhead spazzing out? I don't know.
Maybe there's some people do. I mean, like even the worst of us can get few viewers or whatever. I mean, it's whatever. I mean, it's free will. People have their choices, and other people some people enjoy watching people complain about shit and complain about other people. I mean, they do.
And everybody's playing.
Put you ugly fuckers on the bottom.
Ooh. That's Mr. Ugly Fucker to you.
Dave, you know that I think you're the most beautiful one on the panel, but I don't think the optics are as high.
Look,
No,
I'm definitely not the prettiest here, that's for sure.
You're just jealous of all this science around me. Look, don't you see all this science all the time? I'm having to deal with this science, man. I'm having to reach over.
Just kidding. I get the corner.
Knobs and shit. See.
Yeah, all those wires that you could trip over while you're floating around at night and spill water on and
hairspray.
Right. Oh shit, the poop vacuum just pulled an important cord out of the wall and now we're losing pressure.
Yeah. I mean, everything about ISS is like, a death trap. I mean, like one little thing goes wrong, everybody's fucking dead.
You know what kind of a funk house that would smell like?
Oh my God.
Oh, come on.
It would be horrible.
There's no way. There's no way. And they're drinking their own pee. Supposedly they pee and it goes into this thing that turns it back into water. I don't know. Man.
Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, like at this point, you got to figure out that it's just a bunch of BS. I mean, and if you haven't, you have to look into it. There are enough videos of, from Globebusters, Jeranism. I mean, I don't need to spew out all the names, but go and do the research.
Or just go
the
watch
work they did.
Watch India's moon landing.
Yeah. America lost the technology, all the telemetry data, but India found it. Their Chandrayaan.
That was bad. That was really bad. And then
very clever with a name. Chandra means moon, and then Yana means vehicle, and Yan means vehicle. So it's Chandrayaan is a moon vehicle.
Well, hey, that's original. I like it. What I liked so much was watching people like Neil deGrasse Tyson having to go, yeah, good job, India. And pretend like that shit was fucking real while everybody else is just going, dude, come on. We all saw that dumb shit. Come on.
Well, the people who work for these so-called space agencies got to be either naive, AF, or they are all in cahoots with each other. Like who else has a space program? Russia, Japan, China, India. what France, I think, also has some
It's
kind of
all the
a
same,
space
though.
program. U.S.,
It's all the
you
same.
know,
It's all
I
the same
mean,
outfit, bro. It's all the same outfit. Look, through compartmentalization, you can really keep a lot of shit hidden. So you got to figure these people are all in anyways. They're interviewed, they're screened, they're vetted, they're all in. So they sit there at this computer, and their job is you go through this part and we're going to run a simulation. You guys, we're going to do this over and over and over. And they run this simulation on this computer, and then they say, okay, here's the live thing, and they shoot a balloon off or whatever they do, and it goes and curves over and crashes into Point Nemo. And then they don't know any different because they're still running the same thing that they did in simulation. Yeah, everything's going good. They're in orbit now, blah blah blah, and it should be they're coming on the screen now, boom, in a movie studio or whatever, and they're going, hey, we're up in space and shit. They don't know any different on the ground because they've been
no,
doing the
and all
simulation over and over. So how did they know the simulation from the real deal, right?
they've been Pavlov into it. They've been conditioned into it, and then all these astronauts and people above, they're all Freemasons by chance somehow, like very high level Freemasons, right? And there was like a running joke, like if you go into NASA and then you give a High Hitler salute, half the people stand up.
Yes. Well, Werner von Braun, the father of NASA, who
Whose name
said it would
changed.
take, his name changed. That's a Mandela. But he said it would take 3 rockets the size of the Empire State Building to get to the moon, right? And then when he died, on his tombstone is Psalms 19:1.
Yeah.
And it says, the heavens declare his glory, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Now, why in the hell would a guy
Yes.
who's going to go to the moon be talking about a firmament? What's up there, right?
And he wrote a book called The Mars Mission, or Mission to Mars, where they colonized Mars, and the protagonist, the leader of the revolution, his name is Elon.
Yep.
Imagine that. And Elon wants to colonize Mars. I'm sure it's all just a coincidence, a little quinky dink
I'm pretty
there.
sure that the rocket on the cover of that paperback edition looks like that SpaceX rocket too, man.
Yeah, the very phallus-looking rocket.
Yeah.
It's like the Austin Powers clip.
It's like what?
The Austin Powers clip when the plane flies over and it looks like a Johnson,
Yeah.
that scene.
Yeah.
No, you're thinking of Bezos. Bezos's rocket looked like a dildo or something.
It is absolutely like the great purple dildo.
And that's
So let me pose a question.
what was what?
So if they're all in cahoots with space, and they're all in cahoots with Antarctica, and they were all in cahoots the last 3 years, does anyone believe that these wars are actually real, or just again they're just all for show and to kill off the strong men?
I think that people are actually dying, but I think that they're contrived.
Sacrifice of the firstborn sons every 20 years, man.
That makes sense.
The chick you talked
But
about
yeah,
spiritual warfare, she thinks that Elon is one of the 4 horsemen.
Who is?
can you repeat that? Can you repeat what you just said?
I said the chick that taught me how to do spiritual warfare, she fights principalities like daily. She says she thinks Elon is one of the 4 horsemen.
What's a principality? Isn't it like a government?
In the physical realm, it is, but the spiritual principality governs that area. So, like, in the Bible, they were talking about Michael fighting the Prince of Persia. They weren't talking about the actual prince of Persia. They were talking about the principality, the spiritual being that was governing that territory.
Yeah.
Who
I don't
taught
know.
you-
I mean, like that.
Sorry, who?
Go ahead.
Can you tell us about the woman who taught you to fight demons?
I'm not going to expose her, but
Well, you don't. Yeah, if you can do it without.
She fights some heavy level shit.
How did you meet somebody who does this?
I was guided to her.
Interesting.
How did I literally meet her? The internet, but I was guided to her site.
It's not Constantine, is it?
No. 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 You wouldn't know
Well,
her
I mean, that's pretty heavy stuff.
Like,
I would what?
so you're not going to know her name. She's not well known, and that's intentional. Like the people, the big ups know who she is, but everyday man won't.
Well, I mean, Elon Musk is definitely has been, he comes from a prominent family and he's been groomed to be in his position. I mean, I don't buy at all that he is running like 5 or 6 or 10 different companies. Like he's just a front man, just like everybody else. He's like kind of being promoted as the Tony Stark of reality. And he has definitely a role to play, just like Trump, just like Biden. A lot of these people are groomed from birth to be in the positions that they're in now. So I can't say definitively that Elon Musk is one of the 4 horsemen. He could very well be. But yeah,
I don't know for
I don't
sure
know.
either. She just thinks. Because when she's fighting, like she doesn't get to see their human body. She's fighting their spiritual being.
Jesse, you're muted.
Yeah, Jesse, you're killing me with that road noise.
So Musk, his Wikipedia used to say an actor on it, and for many years, we always thought he was a CIA plant. So not as smart as he comes out to be, and just like you guys are saying, just another front man for what's going on.
He's also not smart. Like if you forget that you've been told over and over and over again he's a genius, and listen to him talk like a regular person, it's like this dude's fucking stupid.
I mean, he could have maybe average to above average intelligence, but it doesn't make him a genius. I mean, you can still you can make like above average intelligent person to look like a genius if you have all the publishing companies telling everybody in the world that they're a genius, right?
Right.
All the magazines and the media, and then he's a genius, and then you put him on Joe Rogan, and then then he's a genius, and
Actually,
of course,
I think it was Dave that pointed out to me that he's stupid. Like I hadn't even like noticed it consciously myself until Dave pointed it out, which is a testament to the sort of like mind control paradigm that we're in, right?
Yeah,
a lot of these MK Ultra guys are quite high IQ, especially at the high level. IQ does not equate to like how much control you're under or not. You can have high IQ and still be MK Ultra. It's about the conditioning that you went through.
I think you have to be at least reasonably. I don't high IQ. I mean, from what I know about it, I haven't ever tried it myself. I don't think.
I didn't understand what you just said. Can you repeat what you just said?
From my understanding, you have to be pretty high IQ for that to even take.
No,
they can MK.
Well,
it's look, it's as simple, man. Humans are easily conditioned. Okay, they're easily conditioned.
I'm talking about full on mind or full
right,
on.
Right. And just through our own examples, for instance, like you could take the word terrorist, right, as they did, and keep associating it with a certain archetype, okay, which they did, and it incorporated a Middle Eastern person, usually with an AK-47. And now to the point where every time that was used and associated with that imagery, when somebody says the word terrorist, immediately that image of somebody from the Middle East with an AK-47 or dynamite strapped around them or some shit automatically comes to mind, never taking into account the Baader-Meinhof gang from Germany or the IRA in Ireland or some of these other groups that are of no Middle Eastern descent whatsoever, but because of the conditioning. So it's real easy to do. Now you incorporate that with pharmakia or drugs, associate not responding correctly with a pain, with trauma, and you can easily get somebody conditioned into that. That's all about trauma mind control. The United States government does it every day. They call it basic training. They call it basic training. That's trauma-based mind control is what they're doing. They're deprived of food and sleep. We're put under incredible physical stress. I mean, the whole thing is classic form of MK
Well,
Ultra.
it's a very like a basic layer of
Right,
MK Ultra,
right,
but there are
right,
definitely
right.
different
So what they can
levels
do
of it.
is there's all kinds of methods, and they've been playing with this shit since at least the 30s or 40s. And this guy, Dr. Mengele, he was really
Yes.
getting into it, and trying to. That's why he wanted to experiment with twins, because he would subjugate one to the MK Ultra and see if it affected the other because of this mysterious bond that identical twins seem to have. Anyway, after the war, through Operation Paperclip, he was brought to the United States. He went to China Lake Naval Air Weapons Station in California. And he continued his MK Ultra, which MK, mind control in German, experimentation there. And I
Yes.
looked into this years ago, and this goes back to, like I was saying earlier when you brought up Sound of Freedom, because I had found shit in 2011 and 2012 about him being there. And this is prior to me even moving out, and I lived right near it when I lived in California. Okay, but that wasn't for years later, and I didn't associate it until I was like, oh, wait a second, that's that fucking place. And it was pretty mysterious. But anyways, electrified cages with kids, anywhere between 1,000 to 3,000 kids at any one time. They would bring them in with small aircraft, and there's all kinds. You can go on Google Earth and look. There's all kinds of these weird airstrips out in the middle of nowhere on that base. Most of it's underground. And then I met this kid. He's about 19 years old. And he was in Ridgecrest. Ridgecrest is a town right there. It kind of supports the base. In fact, if it wasn't for the base, Ridgecrest wouldn't even ever exist. Anyway, this kid, we got to talking to him. He seemed like a nice guy, but he was kind of off. And he said, yeah, I just got out of the hospital. I said, what'd you in the hospital for? He says, I had a GPS tracker put in me. I was like, what? And he says, yeah, and he had this bandage. And he pulled the bandage, and there was like a lump underneath this suture. And I says, they did this over here at the hospital? He says, well, I went in the hospital there. He said, but my mom and some other people took me over to the base. My mom works at the base. She's not a bad person, you know. And I went, and he kept every so often saying, Einstein broke my pencil. And I was like, what the fuck, right? And so so tell me a little bit more. He says, well, I don't really remember a whole lot. But then after they put it in, they brought me back to the hospital. And then after a day or two, they let me go. And I was like, so let me get this straight. And he kept going, Einstein broke my pencil. So a little while later, I just looked over at him. And I said, hey, Einstein broke your pencil. And this fucking kid glitched. He just went, like froze up like Al Roker did on that Today Show thing. And I was like, whoa, what in the fuck? So yeah, this shit is still going on there, at least up until when that earthquake happened and they shut most of the base down. That earthquake just a couple of years ago that was real huge, that was centered right there, man. Ridgecrest, California. You can look that up. I think it was like, well, it shifted the road, man. The road where it normally is going like this was like shifted by about 3 or 4 feet by the time the thing was done. And that was on the base. And I heard that there was evacuations from it, most of it. Yeah, Austin lived there. He knows what I'm talking about. He knows what I'm talking about.
So,
This is
like
creepy.
initially, we were talking. initially we're talking about like only like high IQ people can be MK Ultra. In my understanding about the MK Ultra operation is that anybody can be MK Ultra. It's just that you have different roles that you play, because if you have higher functioning abilities, then you can be split into more alters compared to
Mhm.
low functioning. And they have so they can assess these children at a very young age. I think even at up to like a year and a half, they're able to really assess like their personality types, their like cognitive abilities, and then their life path is basically determined from that point on. Like, are you going to be a beta sex slave? Are you going to be a Delta Force assassination guy? Whatever. I mean, they have different roles for different people based on your um, qualities.
Hmm? Well,
Do you
and
think
they
they're
even
all
have like their
calibrated?
presidential models of they have sex slaves. They have their kitten models. And you often see these ones that are they're a sex slave, but this is this kitten thing where you'll see that they often do this thing like cats when they do their poses or their music videos and shit. Um, I think one of the first ones was Jane Mansfield, um, Marilyn Monroe. Those were presidential models. And then you've got like your Disney kids, right? That turn out, you see how they are, right? And always with the
Like Britney
butterflies.
Spears.
Monarchs, always with the butterflies and shit too, man.
Yeah, monarch is a symbolism because monarchs can pass on that epigenetic quality to it. So all these fears that the parents have, that's been kind of like either conditioned into it or is genetic, is can be passed on to their children. That's where the monarch butterfly symbology comes in.
Well, that and Monarch mind control. That's what MK Ultra ended up evolving into the Monarch program.
Yeah. But the monarch initially is coming from the notion that the monarch butterflies can pass on the DNA to their offsprings, the memories
Oh yeah,
that the parents and the ancestral memories that that's where the monarchy comes in.
like racial memories. I know what you're talking. We've always called
Yes.
them racial
Yeah.
memories. Like how most people have a like an aberration towards snakes, spiders,
Yes.
things like that. It's just
Exactly.
natural. It's
Yeah.
instinctive. Yeah, it's like a racial memory of a predator. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's epigenetic.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna run and I will talk to you guys all later. Thank you. This was
Bye, Angeline.
fun and
Hey,
interesting.
thank you for coming up. I enjoyed hearing your thoughts and story and take on the Bible and stuff.
If you guys are on in a bit, I might jump back on, but I'm just gotta get some stuff done. So,
10-4.
all right. See ya. Thanks, everyone.
Later.
Bye. What do you all think of the Viking shaman, the one that entered the Capitol on January 6th? Has anybody heard him speak, and just thoughts on who he might be?
An actor.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
that's what his occupation was listed as on his LinkedIn, I think, before he was the shaman. And his activist history includes environment. So he's a leftist environmentalist fake before he became the shaman. There's
Yeah.
He's very intelligent.
Didn't
I
the
heard him.
Simpsons oh, go ahead.
No, I was done.
He's intelligent, huh?
I heard him speak. He's very smart, and he used to be in the Navy. And we're interviewing him on Thursday, so I just was wondering what everybody thought of him, just to get some insights before I interview him.
I think it'll be an interesting interview. But I suspect he's part of that whole operation.
Okay, speaking of which, where has Eric been?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I only ever saw him on your channel.
You know something weird? Because there's a picture of him at the Capitol with the fucking QAnon shaman in the newspaper, from a newspaper. And I have that picture. And I'm wondering, I haven't seen him in a long time. I'm wondering if he got stuck up in the fucking gulag over that shit.
Now, the last time I saw him, you kind of geeked out on him because he kept interrupting.
Oh
I
yeah, I
don't-
hate that.
I don't know if he maybe like rage quit your panels because you were being mean to him, or I don't know.
No, I don't think he'd do that, man. He'd come back. He understood that because I told him before. I said, man, you got to quit fucking doing that shit, bro. You know?
He is bad about it.
Always wanting to go about China all the time, man. But I think
He loves China. You know, I'm starting to get hella suspicious of these people who just keep interrupting on their loops.
yeah, I get kind of nutty about that shit too. But, you know, so I don't know. I was just wondering maybe he got locked up. If anybody out there's heard of what happened to old Eric.
I mean, that would have happened already.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was weird that all those people, they were going around all over in Northern Virginia and other places and shit, people that were just there at the Capitol and arresting them, you know, and this dude's coming up on my panel and
He
shit.
never got arrested.
I don't think so, man.
That's fucking sketchy. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
sketchy. Every single person I know who went there got arrested.
See, yeah, that was, I was like little glowworm, but I let him do his thing. Maybe he's off my case now. Incidentally, shout out to my agent.
That's not true that everybody got arrested. So apparently 1,000 people got arrested, and there was like way more than that. I know some journalists and stuff that were there that didn't get arrested. So, you know, I don't see that as everybody that was there got arrested.
I said everybody I know, which means everybody. I mean, in my head, that means everybody who was there as a protester.
What's wrong with Sophia? Why is she going to blow her channel up?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Don't do that, Sophia.
I mean, for me, it's just all you know, distraction in a way. Like, you know, like when in the history of the United States, voter fraud hasn't been going on. You know, I mean, like I think it's been going on like the whole time, and a lot of I think when things are kind of starting to come out into the forefront of revealing itself, oh, it's convenient time to talk about it, you know, and then make a big scene about it, right? And then we need to have another entity to oversee, you know, so your voting does matter, and you know, like your opinions do matter, but at the end of the day, it doesn't do anything. It's just another form of distraction. You know, it's a way to siphon your energy. This politics between right and left. I think, of course, everybody's been doing voter fraud. Both sides, they're both responsible.
If you
But
take a
now it's a
step
big deal
back,
because of Trump.
if you take a step back and look at the presidential elections, like objectively, it's amazing to think that anybody would ever believe that they would leave something so important up to chance, right? We've got the most powerful. This is the president of the U.S. is the most powerful being that we can prove exists.
Well, only because of the military. That's his biggest. That's his only real
Right.
power. That and the veto.
But
That's it.
nevertheless, right? Nevertheless, to think that we're going to leave that up to chance with a bunch of dummies every 4 years, really?
Well, look, Flow State, check this out. It brings me back. My wife and I, we watched that movie Free State of Jones last night, right? And of course, it takes place during the Civil War in Mississippi, and then after the war, and blacks are allowed to vote. Well, these people, they went around. This guy got them all registered. This one black guy got all the other black people registered up to vote, and the KKK took care of his ass. But they still had all these signatures and registered people, and they showed up to vote. And he says, "We're all here to vote such and such." And he goes, "Well, I don't have any ballots for that here." I mean, they were pulling that shit even then, you know. I mean, Christ, I've said. Finally, they ended up getting their ballots, but he's like, you know, wait a minute, I'm here, you know, I want a Republican ballot, and they're like, nope, we don't have any of those. You know, and then it's like, and then when the votes were counted, it was like there was 200 and something, 240 votes that were cast by these guys, and only two were counted. The official results. No shit, man. They were doing this shit back then, even. I mean, so I say there's never been an honest election ever. And like you said, who's going to leave that up to fucking chance?
I mean, I think that there are some on it. Like, I think that the more local you get, like, I don't think it's a coincidence that there's a huge political divide between big cities and rural.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like, you look at where I'm at, right? I'm in the western part of Virginia. And all around me, if you look at the political map, it's red, except for those cities. And those are all like blue, and especially like Harrisonburg, which is a university city. There's like 5 different universities there. There's James Madison, Eastern Mennonite, I forget what else. But anyway, and so they've got all these universities there, which of course academia is always left-leaning, always Democrat. Boom, you've got that going on. So Harrisonburg is a predominantly blue area in the middle of a big, huge red county. It's amazing. And so you get to places like California and shit. So what you have there is the big cities, which are huge. Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sacramento. Those places are extremely leftist. But out in the rest of California, you'd be surprised. I was.
Yep.
How, those people are like, we want to secede away from them.
every single place in America that I know of is like that.
Yep.
But it's easier to cheat in the big cities, right? In the small towns, when everybody knows everybody, it's a lot harder to cheat then nobody knows anybody in the big cities.
We got a sheriff race going on in my county right now. I live in a very, very, very small county. And the choices are Aaron Cubbage or the current sheriff, his cousin, Chad Cubbage. So it's Cubbage versus Cubbage. Makes it kind of easy. Who are you going to vote for, Cubbage? And hell, they damn near look the same. So who's going to know? Fuck.
Yeah, if you're in a town where the people competing for sheriff is brothers, you're fucked. Well, you're probably family.
No, they're both good guys, man. I mean, as far as being cops,
small town cops are the worst.
No, I gotta say now, I've known Chad since he was a corrupt rookie deputy. Okay, and
he's not corrupt anymore.
Well, no, he is, but not really to the point where it's like, they're all going to be corrupt.
I gave all that shit.
I'm not saying that, Chad. If you're watching this shit,
don't arrest me.
Yeah, no, he's all right. My brother was married to his cousin, so I've known him for a long time. Well, when I bought this bong, right? Check this out. Now, 25 years ago, he'd have locked me up for having it, right? But I bought this bong at this tobacco store, right? And I turned around after paying for it, and he's standing right behind me in his full, county sheriff uniform. He just got off doing an interview on Tucker Carlson. So, no kidding. So I'm standing there, and I go past him. He was buying some snuff. And then I started talking to him, and we both are standing there talking. We stood out in the parking lot talking for about 20 minutes, and I'm standing out there cradling this bong pipe talking to the county sheriff, and he ain't saying dick about it. And I was like, whoa, we really come around full circle, ain't we? That was crazy, man. But, anybody else I think would have probably given me a hard time for it. And I'm able to get by with some stuff too, like.
That's nice. Yeah. When I got raided, I had just recently donated some money to the police anti-drug school campaign, and when I got raided 3 times that year, I had ignored the sheriff's department because I lived in city limits, and that was dumb of me. But all 3 raids, there was no city cops.
Wow.
Only sheriffs. Sheriffs from like several different agencies. There's like 3 different counties, and the game wardens, and yeah, but no city cops.
See, now this is how we got some weird shit like in where I live at. So, like I was saying, Harrisonburg is over in Rockingham County, but Harrisonburg is not part of Rockingham County. Harrisonburg is incorporated. It's its own fucking jurisdiction. It's got its own police force, but it's within the county of Rockingham. It's really weird, man. And the county courthouse and the county sheriff's headquarters are in the city of Harrisonburg, but they don't police within the city of Harrisonburg.
That's the way it was where I was at.
It's really
there's a law enforcement center, right? And they both operated out of the same building.
No, it's what they have different buildings even. It's really strange, man. I never saw anything like it. Now you go over into West Virginia, in these towns you'll see like Matthias, unincorporated. It says unincorporated. It's like, what the fuck is that? And that goes all the way back to Reconstruction, man. It's crazy. Still shit from the Civil War that we're still dicking with here. Do you know that this Commonwealth of Virginia didn't regain its pre-Civil War wealth status until 1987?
Wow.
It took that long, yeah. They changed our state flag, and very subtly, it used to be Veritas, goddess of truth and justice, right? Was standing with her foot on a fallen tyrant, and the crown is laying on the ground. And she had a spear at the ready and a sword raised in her other hand. And our motto is, "This be to all tyrants, sic semper tyrannis," right? After the war, they changed it. She's now not wearing a helmet or a breastplate. She's wearing a liberty cap with one breast exposed. The sword is cradled in her arm, and the spear is pointed to the ground in an act of submission, but still says, "This be to all tyrants." They totally pushed out our flag, man.
I wonder if they did anything to ours.
May have, man. Be surprised, man. Some of the shit in our history people don't really know. Do you know Michigan and Ohio had a war with each other one time?
No.
Yeah, man. That's why Toledo, it was over Toledo. And that's why there's that weird little jog at the bottom of Michigan, and Toledo is now in Ohio instead of Michigan. It's an important port city. Michigan wanted it. Ohio wanted it. They had to take it to the Supreme Court, man. But yeah, they had armed militias ready to, fighting with one another over that shit.
Well, there was the Kansas-Missouri War, or a battle or something during the Civil War. That's a pretty big deal around here.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people, it's overlooked. A lot of the actions that were in the West, like that, Missouri, Mississippi, other than Vicksburg and some of that, most is concentrated around a lot of the battles from here in Virginia. My God, I'm within a half hour to 40 minutes easy of at least 7 different battlefields around here. Cross Keys, Battle of Harrisonburg, shit. I mean, they're all over the place, all the way up and down Cedar Creek, Newmarket, Winchester, Front Royal. They're all like right here. I mean, it's like I live almost on Route 11, which is there was like battlefield up and down that fucking road for 4 years, man. So a lot of us focused on that, and a lot of people overlook what was going on in the West, and even in California, believe it or not. So, but it just was the other actions like Antietam, Gettysburg, and that kind of thing kind of overshadowed those, made them look like smaller skirmishes. They weren't as strategically as important, I guess.
Some people believe that the Civil War is not something that maybe didn't even happen to the extent that it did, because they're like, where's all the bodies? Where did they bury all the bodies that they said that died?
Well, where do they
Yeah.
bury all the bodies in general? I mean, when's the last time anybody saw a new cemetery open?
There you go.
That's why I
Yeah,
don't
maybe
even
it was a
know.
cover up. Maybe it was a cover up for this Tartarian event, some kind of mud flooding type of thing. All these, like, the Freemasons, like the idea that the Freemasons got their word because they inherited free buildings, right? And then instead of a war, maybe some kind of cataclysmic event that has occurred, and then you need people to clear these cities out. I don't know. I mean, that's a theory.
Well, one of the things you'll find at some of these Civil War cemeteries, and those, of course, are the bodies that were picked up off the field and not sent home. Later on, a lot of bodies were sent home, exhumed and sent home and buried in family graveyards. There's photographs of freed slaves actually exhuming bodies and to be reinterred where they lived. But you got to understand too that a lot of at some of these cemeteries you'll see, like over here is all the people in the 12th Massachusetts that were killed in this battle, and then you get down to the very last grave and it'll say 19 unknown. Okay, and what that means is that there wasn't much left of them, and that there was about 19 people that they put into one hole, what was left of them anyways. Now, I have my own family. My great-great-grandfather was at the Battle of Shiloh in Tennessee, and he was wounded in the right deltoid muscle right up here, and he lost use of his right arm for the rest of his life, but he was wounded at the Hornet's Nest there. So I do know that, that actually happened, because I'd heard the stories and found out some information on it and got photographs of him and records and the whole 9 yards. So I don't know, something was going on to where he ended up shot.
But in the 1800s, if you see some of the structures and the buildings and the free energy, and like, how did they build all that stuff with horse and carriage? Like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, some of these magnificent structures. So it just makes me have to question all of history, whether anything is true and real, because of, different anomalies like that.
It may have already
Yeah.
been here, right? And they found
Yeah.
dead, some Freemasonry, and repurposed it. Maybe it was a little damaged and they fixed it up. There's some renovation they did to it. But yeah, think about that. Founded. And that's Freemasonry. Here's some buildings you inherit. So you say, yeah, man, we built this shit. That's right. Yeah, that's a ticket.
But there are these old maps of like these cities that were of existence, and like Chicago as an example. I think it was like spelled like Chicago instead of
Shalaga.
Chicago, and what's
Shalaga.
that?
Shalaga.
Yeah, Chilaga, and then California being an island, and people going to San Francisco, and then San Francisco was more or less empty, and so I mean, there are a lot of anomalies. We can't really accept quote unquote history the way, like, whatever narrative that they have given us. There's probably some truth to it, but I'm not going to buy it. I just can't, just because of I know what I know. Even now, with recent history, they already lied about World War II and what went on there, and even the Iraq War and Afghanistan. I mean, like, so we can't take that off the table, that they won't be able to lie about things that happened 150 years ago.
So, it's interesting you call California an island, and I've seen those maps as well. The 1587 Urbano Monte map is really fantastic. But California is named for this beautiful goddess. Her name was Khalifa. You know, if any of you
Yes.
seen Lord of the Rings, this is kind of interesting. And she ruled this land, and she had these griffins, dragons,
Yep.
that would actually eat her enemies. So
I learned that from One World Tartaria. Did you read that book as well?
no, I didn't. I put it together, man. I was like, because they have a Khalifa parade in California every year, man. In the Rose Bowl, they have a float for Khalifa, the goddess. And I was like, Khalifa, Khaleesi, holy crap, wait a second. And then you start looking into it, and it's like, oh my God, that's like right out of it. And I started getting onto that because I was thinking about that Antarctic ice wall, and we're north of the wall compared to somebody on the other side. Maybe we're like the fucking wildlings, you know?
You're thinking about the Game of Thrones rather than the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant
color.
that's what I meant. Game of Thrones. Sorry, I forgot where I was at there. But that is interesting. I mean, it was like, what the fuck? Yeah, Game of Thrones. Sorry.
Yeah,
man.
she was a Queen Khalifa from California.
Yeah.
And they were the Amazonians and such. And the Griffins is also the symbol of Tartaria.
Yeah.
As well. So like ancient flags from various places, like Russian Tartaria, the Chinese Tartaria, Tartaria, when you look at the old map, it was basically all Russia, part of Europe, including China, and North Korea was part of Tartaria as well.
And the man who can change its face, who worships the house of black and white and the god of many faces, that's Dantalion.
I was thinking about that when you told that story. I was like, oh shit, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm still not sold on space, but what do you guys think of like the star forts or stargates that, if they were trying to tell us that they were into consciousness?
Interesting. They're built on like bodies of water, right? And they have a specific like cymatic shapes to them. So I think there were like some kind of like places where they harnessed energy,
Power
or they
stations.
even may have, or they were maybe able to even shield themselves energetically in some ways, like with frequencies.
That's just fascinating.
So
It's theorized.
it
Go
is
ahead.
possible that they are emulating a frequency that's emitted by the luminaries themselves that we call the stars. They got to get away from the idea that these are balls of burning gas billions and billions of miles away. That's ridiculous. So we know that they're relatively close, relatively speaking. And I've often thought about this, man. Okay, so we have a lot of cultures that see the stars as sentient, each one being a sentient being or a spirit, giving off a certain energy. They look like cymatic patterns of energy and water. And I was thinking, if we know all of reality is frequency, vibration, and energy, what if the stars are actually like a big grand chorus? Now keep in mind, we have in religious traditions choirs of angels, angels always with trumpets and singing, hark the herald angels, right? All that, right? So what if the stars are actually a great symphony that creates the reality that we're experiencing, each one playing their own part, each one playing their own part in that symphony?
Harnessing that energy?
Yeah. Amplifying it.
Well, I mean, this is where astrology probably starts to come in, and you have the so-called the wandering stars, right? Like what we call planets, and I'm with you in terms of like the stars not being billions of miles away. You can actually create star-like phenomenon in water, using frequency,
Sonoluminescence.
right?
Sonoluminescence. Yeah. But an interesting thing, look at the wandering stars or the planet's movement projected onto an AE map. It is awesome. It's like a spirograph.
Flower
Each
pattern.
one,
Yeah, it's like
it's
a
a flower
flower
pattern.
pattern.
Yes. And that's what I think, and so does Austin from Melodome is onto it too, because that Urbano Monte map is called a planisphere. And if you look at the edges of it, it is like flower petals, right? You would assume that that's so it could be shaped into a globe, but it's not. I think, and I'm going to overlay it, I think it's a planetary movement that where it hits on each part of the outside of the entire AE map.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Everything from
internal
the
one.
Earth's perspective, it creates geometrical shapes.
What's that now?
I said everything from the Earth's perspective, from the 3D perspective, is going to make a geometrical shape.
Yeah, but they're perfect. Each one of them in a flower of life type pattern. When they're all combined together, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to do it on a heliocentric model. You can't
No.
have that perfect.
Heliocentric is perfect circles around the sun. It's only the geocentric.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, heliocentric
couldn't-
circles, though. It's
Those patterns would be very different. Those patterns would be different
Yeah.
based on heliocentric model and geocentric model. From Earth's perspective, it just wouldn't make any sense in my mind.
They have a predictable pattern. That's another thing too, is that nobody's ever really seen anything go around the sun. You know, it's like, so this is an assumption that anything actually orbits the sun. Just like the assumption that it's 93 million miles away. That's all based off of assumptions too for that equation. That's ridiculous. People don't see through it, and it's right at the basics is where that whole thing gets destroyed. Right there at the very basic foundations of the whole idea. That in the fundamental idea that it is impossible to have a fluid pressure system without containment. They like to pin you into things. Well, the Earth can't be flat. We have mountains and lakes and valleys. And I found the best description. The Earth is a level, stationary topographical plane contained within a dynamic fluid pressure system. There it is.
The people get hung up on this word flat. Like people who are flat earthers don't believe that we're on a two-dimensional plane. That's so ridiculous, you know. It's a description, you know. And okay, like people get very pedantic about it, and then and then so what? You want to say I'm an anti-glober? Fine,
right?
But it is not what we've been taught it is. That's the main point. You know, I don't mind. I don't like the Mandela effect, like the word Mandela effect either, but that's what we're going to go with. Sorry. I mean, that's what everybody knows it as, you know, this supernatural phenomenon. I'm not really, you know, for it, but I can't change the collective consciousness of things, you know, so I just run with it. Same with the flat earth.
We interviewed that Brian Staveley on The Missing Link, and he really went deep into the Mandela effect if anybody wanted to know more about that.
Oh yeah, I watch Brian all the time. I've been on his show a few times, man. It's like this though. This is what they do, and I'm going to put it in another scenario. All right, so I tell Sarah, I said, hey, you know, because my parents end up, they die. Okay, they get in a car accident and they die. And I go to Sarah and I say, you know, I was cleaning out my parents' stuff and I found adoption papers, man. I'm adopted. And she says, well, who are your real parents? I was like, I don't know. I can't find out. Well, then those must be your parents. You see, that's the same logic that's used right there. Because you say, well, no, that's impossible. Oh, well, what is it then? It's like, we're finding that out, man. Well, that means that it is this. And it's like, no, we've ruled that out. I have adoption papers here. Okay. I have adoption papers. I was adopted. These are not my parents, but I don't know who my real parents are. But the logic that they use is like, oh, well, if you don't know who your real parents are, then those must have been your parents that died.
Well, I was lucky in the sense that I was always Asian and my parents were white, so I was never confused about my adoption.
Right on. I mean, I didn't find out I was black till I was like 15.
I turned black after I
Wondering
got
what y'all thought about them switching out the baby.
after I got my felony.
What'd you say, Jesse?
I'm just wondering what y'all thought about them switching out the baby. So whenever they take, have a birth in a hospital, and then all of a sudden they take the baby away, and some people believe that some of those babies are being switched out. So, they're not actually come from the mother and father that they say they do, and they're putting whatever in, maybe some of these NPCs or whatever, in replacing them.
Too far fetched for me.
Maybe
Probably
possible. I don't
happening
know.
somewhere, but I don't know about the frequency of it.
I don't know
It's
how
like a
to-
cuckoo bird type of situation. Yeah, you're switching, do a little switcheroo, right? There was a movie that came out, like it's like Vivilion or something like that, where like
Vivarium.
these couples get
Vivarium.
yeah they get vivarium, yeah, and then they get trapped into these like demonic entity space, and they have to raise a demonic child that's going to be implanted into society, and then it's like a loop. It happens
Yeah, and
over
then
and
he
over
brings
again.
some other people. Yeah, they go to this weird real estate agency, right? And he
Yeah.
takes them to look at this house. And so they go into this neighborhood, and there's just all these houses that just all look the same, and everywhere they go. And then they go look in the house. Next thing they know, this dude's gone. And no matter where they go, they end up back at the same place because every place is fucking identical. And then they wake up and there's a baby on the doorstep. And they end up
Dave, what's your sun sign? What's your astrology sign?
Ophiuchus.
What?
All right.
So am
I
I.
know.
I'm also Ophiuchus.
Are you?
I have Ophiuchus rising.
What?
Yeah.
That's where your sun is.
Crazy.
Wow, man.
My ascendant is
Synchronicities.
Ophiuchus. A lot of Scorpio energy here.
Is that what Scorpio is? I don't know that. name.
Ophiuchus is like the 13th sign that is like right between Scorpio and Sagittarius, but it's like half of Scorpio is Ophiuchus.
I thought that he just made up some gibberish.
No.
I mean, I probably would actually be Ophiuchus then, because I'm in Western, I'm Sagittarius, and in Vedic, I'm Scorpio.
There's 13 moon cycles, 13 moons, right?
So what is Ophiuchus then?
It's like right between
Scorpio.
Yeah.
I mean, what dates? What dates?
Oh fuck.
No, it's different for sidereal because like the Western is very fixed, but sidereal means the actual positioning of the stars and planets at that time. That's why they don't really overlap with each other. That's why I'm a Sagittarius in the Western because of the fixed days in which things are supposed to be. Like you're if you're born between like October and November, you're going to be a Scorpio. Like
are you guys
but
fucking
that's not
with
the case.
me?
No.
Okay.
I'm a triple Scorpio.
Oh God.
What does that mean? You got moon and the sun, and your ascendant is Scorpio?
Yeah, there's 3 of them, and I'm actually born the same day as Hillary Clinton on the last day of the Scorpio Libra cusp.
According to Western, you're talking about Western astrology. So if you check your Vedic, it could be completely different. It could even be opposite. You could be, we don't know. I mean, like sidereal and Western, they're very different from each other. I've seen people who were Aquarius on one, and then they're like Leo on the other. They're opposite signs.
What did you call that sign?
Ophiuchus. O-U-P-H-E-C.
Ophiuchus. I'll copy and paste it.
Thank you.
It's a man holding a snake.
That's his penis.
Yeah, baby.
A very long snake.
It's me.
Remember about that? Finding out I was black when I was 15, right?
Crazy.
Well, I mean,
Just-
these are, all identity type of thing, right? I mean, if you get used to growing up in a certain system, your identity is going to be kind of entangled with that system. Like, let's say you were raised with and had like a long time investment with the Western astrology. That's how your identity is going to be entangled with that uh, idea. Like for me, I never really cared about astrology until I came to India, and then when I was introduced to it, I was already like involved with the Vedic astrology. So I always just stuck with it, and it made more sense to me when I was going into it that I was Scorpio rather than a Sagittarius, even though there's like a little bit of an overlap, but it made a lot more sense in terms of like how it correlated with my life. So I just stuck with it a little bit more. So
With
I'm-
Scorpio and Vedic, you said? Sorry, I was distracted by
Yes.
chat.
Yeah.
I had the same
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
happen. I always thought astrology was bullshit and it was just a way to talk to girls at the bar. But then my Vedic chart, when somebody pulled it for me, it kind of like caught my attention for sure. And then it was interesting. I was talking to my ex-wife one time, and somehow that came up, and that in this other system, I was a Scorpio sun, Aries moon, Mercury, right? Not Mercury, one of the Mercury signs rising. But when I said I was Scorpio sun and the other thing, she goes, "Oh my God, that makes sense." Apparently it had always bothered her that I was a Sagittarius because it didn't fit me. I didn't have any idea that was something that had bothered her. But
Well, I mean, like, astrology can only work on a flat Earth cosmology, a geocentric cosmology, because, like, if you have constellations, like, what are the stars according to the narrative that that NASA tell you? There are stars that are in three-dimensionally, trillions, billions of miles away from each other. So when you look at like Orion as an example, you have stars that are closer and stars that are further away. So we're looking at it from a 2D perspective. But if you're spinning and you're going around the sun and the solar system is going around the galaxy over hundreds of years and thousands of years, all these positions have to change. They must change.
I know. I remember thinking that when I was a kid, right? Just like young, like learning about them, going, okay, if we're spinning this way and this way and that way, why do the stars look the same?
Right.
Why
Yeah,
can we see the
there
Big
should be
Dipper?
parallax.
Why can't we ever not see the Big Dipper?
It doesn't make sense.
Well,
And you can see.
They throw the hint
God.
right in front of you. You're in a clock, man. Did you ever see the
Yeah.
Hunger Games when she finally
Yes.
breaks that dome with the arrow? That thing would
Yeah.
shift every hour, right? That whole thing was a big clock. And different events happened at different times on that clock. It's the same thing that we're in right here. We got the moon tells us the months and the weeks. We got the sun tells us the hour. Sky tells us the season and the year. I mean, it's a perfect fucking clock, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we get the hour from Horus, right?
Yeah.
Who took 12 steps during the day, and then you have Set, his brother, took 12 steps at nighttime. They were both sky walkers, right? And so that's how we tell time. Time is relative, but we make divisions on it based on what the movements of the luminaries. That's the only way we know how time is like the way we. but the thing is, you can twist it because now you have 365.25 days. So little by little, it just skews from the original timeline. Then you have the Gregorian and the Julian calendar, which is uh, again a man-made system to also confuse people, confuse mankind about how time works.
Really cool.
Does the moon spin in the heliocentric model, Dave?
They say it does, but it spins in such a way that the one side of it's always facing us. Another,
Yeah,
be
it's
like-
one revolution to one rotation.
Yeah.
That's how it must
So-
work according to the heliocentric
So
model.
we have to have both of them spinning in such a perfect way that, like,
yeah.
I don't know. Try to work out actually like the physics of how those things would spin in your head.
Well,
Fly
that's
Guy.
just one coincidence. Think about this. The other one, that the moon and the sun appearing to be the same size, and in 4 more days we're going to have an eclipse. Well, do you know why that is? It just so happens that the moon is 400 times smaller than the sun and just happens to be 400 times closer than the sun. Another remarkable coincidence.
But I mean, just think about
And-
the insane precision it would take to have the moon spinning, the sun spinning, all of that spinning cycle spinning around the sun, expanding outwards at the same time, and that from that point on Earth, every single thing in the sky is in the same spots repeatedly. So that means your rate of spin would have to increase over time to keep up with the expansion of the galaxy, right?
And all the oceans are sucked
inconceivable.
into the Earth, and we don't even feel us spinning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
but just like that, you would have to have an increase. It would, so to keep the ratio of everything intact, so that you'd see the same spot, everything would have to increase because it's all expanding at a rate that holds exactly. It's actually impossible. I don't think it's possible at all.
It's not. It's all fantasy bullshit.
It's not.
man.
Like, yeah,
It's not possible at all.
It's not.
It's not possible at all. Once you are able to, I mean, just looking at no curvature, there's no curvature that's been found. That's really enough. Water finds its level. It's already enough. But if you need to add other things to it and try to conceive this reality that they've been trying to project onto you about, and everything, why is everything like, like a 666? Like 100 miles, it's like 6,660 feet, and then it's like we're revolving around at 6,660 miles an hour. Like 666 seems to be incorporated like many times. Like it's beyond chance that 666 is incorporated.
8
this much.
inches. 8 inches per mile squared. 8 inches is 0.666 of a fucking foot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
just
incorporated everywhere. It's so clockwork and perfect, though. I mean, you got the sun is going just slightly faster than the moon, right? So that it laps the moon every about 28 days. Okay. And the constellations are rotating just slightly faster than the sun, so that it ends up you're in a new house about every 28 days. So this thing just works. Shoot. It's cogs within cogs. It's a second hand, minute hand, hour hand calendar. It's like the finest Rolex ever created.
Yeah. I mean, like the antediluvian, I cannot pronounce that right, but like, they found that underwater like clock. I mean, that was more accurate because like all the gears and everything was just perfect to the movement of the stars and and the constellations. Even like this what do you call it? I forgot the terminology, but like every 2,500 years, we've changed by degrees. Like so, like over like 26,000 year periods, we make a complete revolution. It's a
great year.
It's the great year.
The great year procession. It goes every
yes, the procession of the equinox. Yes,
right.
procession of the
So
equinox.
if you really look at it, like when we have two tropics named Cancer and Capricorn, but those were named like over 5,000 years ago, because by all rights right now, those should be Sagittarius and Gemini. So this was 2 ages ago that was actually done as Capricorn
Yeah.
and Cancer. You understand how that works? So we're getting ready to go. It's going to shift again. It's going to shift one more time real quick, because we're going to be into the age of Aquarius, coming out of Pisces. Yep. We were in Aries prior to that. The whole thing, the Old Testament, the sacrifice, right? Abraham took Isaac up there on the mountain. He was going to have to sacrifice him, right? God told him to. And then at the last minute, they stopped him, and God provided a sacrifice for him. What was it? It was a ram with its horns were stuck in a bush. That sacrificed the ram. Okay. Now we come into the Christ era. Here's the fisher of souls. We mark that with the Pisces. We mark that with the fish.
Yep.
Okay. And then we sacrifice the fish. And now we're coming into the Aquarius. Even in the scripture, it says, "Oh, Master, what will we do when we are gone? When you are gone?" It says, "Go into the village. There you will find a man carrying water. Follow him into his house." Meaning that we're coming into the next age. I mean, the whole thing is astro-zodiological. 12 disciples, each one representing a different zodiac, right? Judas being Scorpio, the kiss of death. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's all right there in front of you. We have all of our holidays, our holy days, are marked around sun worship. We worship the risen sun who dies in December and is resurrected 3 days later, reborn, and he walks across the water to you, right directly to you. And then when he starts getting close, we celebrate new life and rebirth with the springtime and the spring equinox. That's a big deal. And, it's just the return and death of the sun god. That's all. So in December again, then it gets shallow, the shortest day, and the sun dies and doesn't progress for 3 days and then comes back from the dead. I mean, it's all right there, man.
Yeah. It's astrotheology for sure.
Yeah.
Have you guys listened to Micah Dank, who does his presentations on astrotheology?
No, Michael Dank.
Micah Dank.
No, I've never heard of him.
So yeah, we've interviewed him like 4 or 5 times, and he's really gone in depth into the astrotheology and just explained exactly what you just said.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. You start to look at it. That's what I think is interesting about the Bible. There's different levels to it. It has like different levels. There's encodings. There's a lot to it that beyond just written words. There's a lot of thought put there. Again, John Dee was involved with that translation too. Him and
I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but when I say that the sun is in a certain sign, it actually means the opposite sign. It means that it is in the opposite sign, and its long rays are enthroning that sign. So when it says we're going into the age of Aquarius, we're actually going into the age of Leo. And the Cancer and Capricorn is when we fell from grace. That was the age of when the fallen angels came. And that's when we fell into duality.
That would stand to reason. You know that there's a United Nations disengagement observer force on Mount Hermon right now. Observer force. That's where the watchers gathered and they made their oath to have their way with the human women. I find that really interesting. In the UN, a lot of people equate that to the beast system.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man.
Some people theorize that, with the pyramids in Giza, and the Sphinx, and that was a lion initially rather than a man's head, right? And so, you know, it could be surmised that, you know, that was made during the age of Leo, right? Which is like completely opposite from, from Aquarius, where we are in now. And, you know, a lot of data shows that, you know, there's a weathering or erosion that has occurred, you know, and that the Giza and the whole of Sahara really used to be a jungle, and a lot of, you know, lakes and bodies of water used to be there some 13,000 years ago, which lines up quite well, you know, in a way, as far as like, you know, if it's Leo is opposite of Aquarius where we are now, and the precession of equinox is around like every 26,000 years or so, you know, it seems to make sense that it could be.
Well, I'll tell you all one thing, man. There's a lot of crazy shit going on. And it's good that we can kind of kick back and talk about it all. And I just got to say, I'm glad to be alive to have a front row seat, regardless of what happens. I think this is a remarkable time to be a witness to what the fuck is happening. You know, ain't really a whole lot.
Definitely not boring.
No, it ain't a whole lot we can really do other than, you know, look and see what's going on, warn people of any dangers and that kind of thing. But ultimately, it's in God's hands, man. That's the way I look at it.
It's a great opportunity to progress as individuals, you know, spiritually and, you know, consciously in this world. And difficult times without this kind of opposition, it's difficult for, like in terms of Vedic philosophy, I would say that we're in a time of Kali Yuga. You know, Kali Yuga is a difficult time, you know, and that's when, you know, a lot of lies is prominent, and people live fake lives and such like that, you know, stuff like this. But it's the best opportunity for souls to develop during this time. It's like the most fertile time for spiritual progress, you know, because of the difficulties. And I'm grateful, you know, I'm grateful that we are living in interesting times, you know, and that we do have a row seat on what's happening, and things are ramping up, you know, and I do believe in these prophecies are going to be fulfilled. The collective memories and the consciousness of where humanity is, you know, it's been conditioned over a period of time to think in a particular way, to manifest, you can say, that these events to occur, you know, and in a lot of ways, a lot of people want it to happen. You know, they want Jesus to come back. You know, they want to see Jesus in their lifetime, you know, but unfortunately, as we know, a lot of people are going to be duped, because like the Jesus that they are going to present is going to be the Antichrist. But that's how it works, you know, so that's um how we are. It's like, but not everybody's meant to see it, you know, just like the Mandela effect. Like, I don't force Mandela effect on anybody, because I understand that, you know, people have to come to their own levels of discernment to be able to see such things. Like flat Earth is an easy topic because it's very tangible, but like when you get into more subtle like concepts and things, you know, some things I don't even like to even talk about, because it's so subtle, and it's not really worthwhile to talk about, you know, because it actually causes more confusion than clarity within people, you know. So we have to be careful about, like, you know, where are we in terms of our development, and then like how we want to communicate with one another, what it is that we want to try to communicate with each other about.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to even be open to a conversation to even have those things. Like your mind has to be open to it. Like having a conversation about flat Earth, even if you don't believe in flat Earth, with someone else that their mind is still completely closed off, they freak out. It's a giant trigger for them. They can't even they can't even conceive that the idea that it's flat.
Isn't that such a tell, though?
Yeah, they're still trapped in the matrix.
Well,
their mind is still closed.
Think back when you were in school, right? This is how it's presented. Back in the old days, people weren't as smart as we are now, and they thought the earth was flat and that they could sail off the edge. Ha, 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 ha. And they show a silly picture of a ship going off the edge of the earth and shit like that. Now, keep in mind, these are like 5 to 8-year-old kids. And that's going to be, well, that's a ridiculous idea. And it's automatically presented as an idea worth ridicule and scorn, associated with non-intelligence. Meanwhile,
Yeah, it's programming.
yeah. Meanwhile, they're programming you to think that memorizing and regurgitating what some person in the front of the room tells you is a mark of intelligence. It's not. Parrots can do that.
Right. Well, I mean, like the heliocentric cosmology is more of a recent event anyway. It's only about 100 years old with the Rockefeller education. David Weiss interviewed a lady who was like about 100 years old who remembers being taught flat Earth cosmology when she was growing up. Okay, so this obfuscation of history, where they're talking about Copernicus, and it's 500 years ago. People knew the Earth was flat, but then we went way beyond that. That's all just added on. That's Jesuit education.
Mhm.
Okay, so the Jesuits is a very core, entity involving the obfuscation of history, and like all the telescopes in the world is they're all owned by the Vatican for some reason, though too. So that's kind of strange, So they're very heavily involved, and it's a form of gaslighting, because it's like we sense something, we feel something, but they want to tell you, they want to dictate to you, no, this is not what you're saying. No, this is not what you're feeling. No, this is not what you're feeling, thinking. We're going to dictate to you all those things, right? That's the programming aspect of it. Okay. More they can do that to you, more they can manipulate you.
I got a newspaper clipping from 1901 from a British newspaper where the city of
Stay
Portsmouth,
in control of consciousness.
the city of Portsmouth was going to, they were threatening to have this guy thrown in prison, the head of the school board or the education department, because they were teaching, and how did they describe it? The heathenish and ludicrous idea of a globe. They were going to throw this guy in fucking prison. Made him stop teaching that crap. Of course, we see what happened later, but that was 1901. That's not that long ago. It's like you were saying, that woman Ruth that David Weiss interviewed. She was what, 109, something like that. And she learned that
100 something, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and she was like, yeah, they taught us that it was flat. And then somebody came and changed it, she said. Just like, oh, well, they just changed that. Nobody give it a thought, And I think they did that with a lot of shit.
Yeah, and then look at these Buzz Aldrin like interviews, like the astronaut's gone wild, and then he's like talking to that 8-year-old girl and said, well, I don't think, we never went to he basically comes out, he's like a drunk, he just have to deal with his conscience, because he's at the end of the rope there, he's not going to live much longer, so he has to come out and tell the truth to everybody. And those people have been lied to too, because maybe they were feeling that we got to be patriotic and we got to beat them old Roskies, and if they can just lie to the public that we went to the moon, you're doing America a big favor. Maybe that's how they got duped into it. But,
Do you know what his mom's name was?
No.
Mary Moon.
Oh, that's interesting.
Buzz Aldrin's mother's
that.
name was Mary Moon. MM 33. Ain't that some shit? I mean, it's like,
Yeah,
you can't make that shit up, man.
pretty wild.
He certainly did make it up.
He's good old Buzz Aldrin. Right. That motherfucker drunk half the time, man. The guy's always drunk. He'd have to be been hiding them lies all them years. But they make him an offer they can't refuse, too, if you understand anything about the Masonic oath. They can do some horrible shit to you, or they could leave you be and do horrible shit to your family. So either take the $1 million, Buzz, and have a good life and do what we tell you, or we're just going to kill your family.
Well, I mean, there were cases of Freemasons trying to come out, and they wrote books, and they were eyewitnesses to the things that happened. But there were some of them that they were made examples of, though too. Where their throat was cut open. They were eviscerated,
Yep.
hanged, you name it. I mean, so like that. Yeah, you get like there's a benefit of being a part of that. Uh, you know organization, right? So, and they want you to be a part of the brick because it is part of the monolithic structure which they've been wanting to create for a long time. And of course, there are benefits with that. Job opportunities, securities, not going to jail, whatever, all this kind of stuff. But then there's also penalties or costs that goes along with it that people don't calculate. Like that's the thing. It's a material gain, but you lose your soul essentially.
Well, they don't count on nobody thinking either. I mean, you just do a little bit of research. So all the time they're showing us all this film of them up here on this piece of junk, this engineering nightmare, this IT nightmare they call the International Space Station. And you see them up there playing on bagpipes, playing guitars, running around in gorilla suits, and all this other crazy shit, right? Did you know it costs $94,000 a pound to send shit up on the rocket to the space station?
Allegedly, yeah.
That's what the alleged cost is, $94,000 a pound. Now, how many pounds is a gorilla suit? And was it really worth that to have a gorilla? Why do you need a gorilla suit?
I mean, like 100 pounds.
And you're up there doing some science, huh? So we're gonna go, $1 million to send a gorilla suit up so you can be on film chasing Don Pettit around or some dumb shit, or playing a guitar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like they've been caught numerous times, playing around with green screens, and they have strings around their waist, and how many cans of hairspray they must use every time they they got these like huge ass hair, that is like floating and staying the way. I mean, it's so stupid at some point when you start to look at that and you're like, no, there's no way. And if you know what you know, right, it's just that people again have a hard time trying, because like once you start to realize that like the government is lying to you and the space is not what it is too much for the average human being. Okay. Is cognitive dissonance. They rather have that security blanket that everything is status quo and voting matters and Trump's going to save us, blah blah blah. Great. And if you want to know the hard truth, you gotta be willing to look at it for what it is. But most people don't have the skin for it.
What do you think about? We was talking about like a false messiah and all that, and I see so many people looking at Trump like he's Jesus. Like, oh, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Trump. I mean, come on. What's going on with people?
It's designed that way, though. I mean, as we know, I mean, like you got to make one guy look stupid, and another guy looks like he's the good guy, but they want to push him down. It gives all that credence to that. This must be the real dude. He's the quarterback.
Then they're like, oh, he's a chosen by God and all this other shit. I mean, they're getting, really kind of fanatical about this dumb shit, man. And this is kind of throwing up some red flags to me, especially with that wolf lying down with the lamb. That always makes me think of a wolf in sheep's clothing. And I know that this motherfucker was a Democrat lifelong until he ran for president. Good friends with the Clintons, hanging out on Epstein Island, flying around on that airplane, and didn't know any of that was going on. Come on, man. Let's get real.
Yeah.
Some people
I have Trump as one of the horns.
You what's that, Sarah?
I have Trump as one of the horns on the 7 heads of the beast. I have him as the last one before the little horn that comes in. Fucking Biden.
Biden. That ain't even Biden. That guy they're showing us on TV ain't Biden. Listen, I've been watching that scumbag his whole career. Okay. And that's a different dude. That ain't him.
Yeah. What were you trying to say, Jesse? I wanted to hear your perspective.
I think he froze.
He's froze.
Hello?
He got out of range. He's walking around. He got out of range. Wait, I saw him moving.
What? I can't hear
Yeah.
anything. I don't know. But
My hardcore Christian buddy who's really
No. Try again later, Jesse.
You're gonna have to get closer to Wi-Fi or something, bro.
one of the things that's talked about in Revelations is that they talk about the 10. Was that Jess? You're coming in and out.
yeah, I just lost signal there.
Go ahead. We can hear you now.
Okay, so my hardcore Christian buddy, he thinks that he's a hardcore researcher, thinks that Christ because his face is.
You're gonna have to say that all over again.
Yeah.
Try again.
Okay, he's my hardcore Christian buddy who's a big researcher as well. He believes that Trump is the Antichrist because his face is on the shekel, and he believes that he's going to be bringing all these prophecies to come to fruition.
They did crown him Moshiach in Jerusalem.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really entirely on. I do believe in the Antichrist, but I don't think it's Trump. I don't think Trump is it. We have to finish the third temple yet, and then we need to have the event of the two witnesses, right? Who's going to call him out? But I think the real. So there's two definitions of an Antichrist. One that denies Christ, right? That's an Antichrist. So that could be a lot of people. That includes Trump, Obama, you name it. Anybody who denies like real Christ. But the Antichrist, the ones who's going to be the head of UN and the whole world government, he has to come from a particular genetic line, right? And that we can call it the J line or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Like he has to have the right pedigree to be who he is. Okay, that's why these people are obsessed with all these genetic
Numbers.
lines. Yeah, numbers, genetic lines. That they do follow astrology as well. They play a role in the Antichrist that's going to be crowned, in my opinion.
So
I
this is an
personally
interesting.
think the Antichrist will come from the line of Solomon and will have Mary's bloodline. It'll be a step sibling of Jesus' descendant.
Yeah, like you're the kind of the Da Vinci Code, esque what you're speaking about.
Well, I don't know if
Have
that
you read the
was.
Da Vinci Code?
I did, but I thought they thought that was one of Jesus' descendants, which is different. I'm not saying it's coming down Jesus' line. I'm saying it's coming down one of Mary's other children with Joseph, who's a descendant of Solomon, not Jesus' bloodline, Joseph, who's a descendant of Nathan. There's two Josephs. So.
But I don't think it's Trump. Like whoever this guy is, I don't think it's Trump myself. Like I think Trump plays a role in it, but he's just a side character compared to I don't think they have announced who the Antichrist is yet. I think we still have to wait a little bit of time to because they will show him, and I think he will be somebody who's going to be a big in the UN. Because UN is kind of like a de facto government of Europe, right? And then they're unofficial, like nobody votes the directors and the heads into them. They get.
Oh my God! It's gonna be Jack Talcott.
Let's hope so. We can say that we were with him from the beginning.
So an interesting theory of a guy that I interviewed named Boyd Anderson. He scored the 5 fastest goals in like hockey history in like 3 minutes and 7 seconds. So it was like 53:07, some important Illuminati number. They brought him in, told him all kinds of things that were going to happen, like the Bitcoin, the flight, the gold heist. And so he knew all about this pre. And he says in 2024, what they told him like this, like 10 years ago, in 2024, they were going to do the fake alien invasion, and they're going to obviously use Project Bluebeam with warships to actually attack cities, but people are going to think it's aliens that are attacking, and then some benevolent aliens are going to come and save the human race. And whoever the leader of these benevolent human or benevolent aliens are the ones that they're going to tail as the savior, the Antichrist, right? The one that actually people are all going to, follow. So it's an interesting theory that, kind of makes kind of some sense that it's a definite possibility.
Yeah, they've been doing the soft disclosure lately, last several years
First,
of like just and even that event in Las Vegas, of like people. So like from the ground up perspective, like people think, oh, this is actually happening, right? Because they're interacting, experiencing things like that. But obviously there's some kind of manipulation that's happening, and like people who've been in the conspiracy circle, they've known about Project Bluebeam for a long time. Warner von Braun's secretary came out, with Richard Greer. Not that I trust Greer that much at all, but the secretary of Warner von Braun talked about it, and she said that that's the last card. They're gonna, you got to tell everybody that's the last card that they're gonna use before the New World Order.
Stephen Greer said that I didn't have enough people watching my show to come on. Well, his people did, to come and be interviewed. They said they want to reach larger audience, even though we reached like 900,000 people on Facebook last month. It's still, I guess, not big enough, or for whatever reason, for some reason, he doesn't want to be interviewed by me.
I mean, they're all like part of this psyop though too. I mean, like, and they have big followings, a lot of people know about them. So they themselves may genuinely believe whatever they are saying, but I think they are, MK Ultra to an extent. Like I was very much into this Andrew Basiago, and his father worked for the CIA, they said, and then he jumped timelines and then went to the past, et cetera, et cetera. It was part of a Project Pegasus and stuff like that. But he's a mayor, I think, in Washington or Oregon now, in some city, and he still comes out and talks about stuff. But like I have to think a lot of these people are under mind control of some kind.
They believe the bullshit.
Yeah.
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I've been preparing popcorn for years for Project Bluebeam. I'm like, when is it going to happen? Is it going to be this year? No. Is it going to be this year? No. I do hope that it is next year. It's going to happen whether we like it or not. I mean, they've been preparing it for such a long time. So,
I was really disappointed with the little paper mache alien from Mexico, though. I mean, I was like, I really expected a lot more.
it doesn't matter. I mean, like if it works, it works. If paper mache aliens is going to convince people, then why not? Why not paper mache aliens?
I mean, I always kind of heard about 7D holograms and shit. And they're like, oh, the aliens, look, we found some in Mexico. And they're made out of paper mache. I wasn't convinced. Sorry. Just wasn't.
And they're like hanging out in people's backyards behind bushes, and they're coming, in advanced ships that can cross like light years of distance, but they're gonna just hang out in people's backyard. I don't know.
Okay, guys, I love these conversations, but I need to eat dinner and go to bed. So good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
I'm having some fucking egg sandwich.
Do y'all
I can
think
hear
that
you,
aliens
Dave.
are
What's that?
Do you all think that aliens are real? Are they interdimensionals? Are they demons? Like, what's your thoughts
I think it's a
on what
combination
these
of.
other beings?
I think it's a combination. I think there are extraterrestrial beings, like beyond the known territories that we are aware of, and then there could be interdimensional entities, that can manifest themselves physically, and then I think there are also government, MJ 12 type of deal where they have these people wearing suits to pretend like they're aliens to further conflate and confuse people. So I think it's a combination of multiple things that are happening.
Yeah, I think a lot of the experiences that people have are what you're saying is the military making them believe that they're, that way they can kidnap and do their experiments on without having to account for it.
Yeah. Yeah, like abducting people and probing them and stuff like this, like all kinds of weird stuff, and then like mind wiping them and then traumatizing them. And there are cases of people, because when I was doing my research in UFOlogy, like years and years ago, one of the things, and at that time I believed in space, and I believed that these aliens were coming from like Zeta Reticuli or whatnot, or even the future, all these like weird beliefs that I had at the time. But one of the things that really confused me is that some people were praying to Jesus, and the whole alien abduction thing stopped, and I really wondered why that was happening, and how much credence there was, and but there were multiple cases of people like praying and asking Jesus to stop these abductions from happening. So like I started to think maybe there's some kind of a demonic energy, like we have like sleep paralysis, and people like in ancient times, like meeting like these type of like gremlin and demonic entities, and they're describing them. So why can't it be different? It's like it's a new way of projecting themselves onto the consciousness of people nowadays. I mean, it's just like we live in different times, but the entities play different tricks.
Aleister Crowley summoned a demon by the name of Lamb.
Yeah.
It looked exactly like a gray, what they call these grays.
Or Yoda.
Have you ever seen a picture of it?
Yes, it's a gray alien. It's a big head. Yeah. I've seen a drawing of it, not a picture, but yeah, I've seen a drawing.
That's what I meant. Yeah. I don't know. His disciple, Jack Parsons, was doing a ritual when he was killed. And he's reported as saying he wasn't finished. I've heard it claimed that portal he opened remained open. I don't know, man.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. I mean, I've heard of these stories of Jack Parsons. Jet propulsion comes from Jack Parsons, and these advanced technologies. I mean, our technological advancements, like the whole Origins and Oracles by Michael Tessarian research. He talks about John Dee and how he communicated with demons, and basically they made a deal, and then like in order for them from like fourth or fifth dimensional place, for them to be able to give you the information that you want, you need to be advanced enough to be able to do that, which means converting energy into matter and then matter into energy, not in that order, but like so we've done that. We were able to convert matter into energy, and then now we're at a point where we can actually convert energy into matter, like the whole Star Trek type of thing, with like being able to disintegrate you and then reintegrate you. That's how teleporters work, according to their science, etc. So we are very much at that point now. And so like part of that, I think, has a lot to do with like, maybe manifesting or incarnating these demonic energy into this plane of existence.
Maybe. I think I'm going to dip out of here. I'm getting ready. I'm going to go to bed after I smoke this cigarette. Got a nice full belly. I want to thank Flow State for having me on. Great conversation, guys. Had a good time on here.
Thanks so
And,
much, man. I love this kind of conversation.
Right on, man. All right, well, we'll catch you all later. See
Hey,
you.
thanks for coming. I'm
night,
glad
Dave.
glad I caught that. I'm going to get in the shower and go to bed. I still haven't had a shower since work. So I'm shutting it down. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Thanks for everybody who came. Thanks for coming. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't. And any final words, Jesse Notch?
I've got about 20 minutes left on my drive, so thanks for keeping me company on this 3-hour tour. Natakita, always a pleasure chatting with you. You definitely got a great mind. And Flow State, thanks for hosting this, and everybody watching, thanks for keeping me company on this trip.
Sure thing. And the previous live stream that's been privated, I'll upload it probably tomorrow with the copyrighted material and the sabotaging and all that shit cut out. So, all right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And then, these topics are of tremendous interest to me, like the Mandela effect, flat Earth, and the conspiracies, and all this kind of stuff. And we're watching things unfolding as in real time right now. It's not speculation at all. It's something that people have been talking about for many years, are starting to really unravel and happen right now. So I think it's very interesting. I definitely would like to talk about the Mandela effect a little bit more, hopefully sometime, because like the problem was that people are not on board with it, and then so there's like a little bit of time to get people on board with it, but then getting into the theories on how things may be working could be of interesting topic to talk about at some point. So anyways, thanks for having me on, and you have a good night.
It's such a
See you later.
speculative topic, though. Oops. Right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I
am going to shut it down, but let's take a taste of it. How could you possibly begin to explain something like that?
Like what is happening?
Yeah.
First of all, you have to
look at Jesse. I see that fucking face.
So if you're coming from a materialistic point of view, right, that nothing can possibly change in material because it's finite. History cannot change because it has happened, right? And no movies, and people can't die and come back. In a materialistic point of view, you can only equate it as false memory. That's it. Because reality is the stone upon everything is set. Okay, but what the Mandela effect that people are saying is that reality is fluid and it changes. That's the opposing point of view in order to have that conversation.
Reality wouldn't. If reality changed, wouldn't your memory change with it? If reality was fluid, you would think that everything would change together. You wouldn't have residue. You wouldn't have.
That to me is speculation, because we already have the memory. We already have what to work with based on our memory. Like if you're honest with yourself and not trying to do the guesswork, everybody have the same quote unquote mismemory. They all have the same quote unquote mismemory. And if it was just purely mismemory, then you would have 3, 4, 10, 100 different variation, because it's all mismemory. That's not the case.
So I'm really doing a shit job of shutting the stream down. Bearsworth, I can
that's
see
my
you.
fault.
No,
that's my fault. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's cool. So if the physical reality changed, okay, we can say our memory is already there, and it's separate. We can that assumes that the memory is separate from the physical reality, right? Like that means that our mind is explicitly non-physical. But the the little thinking man you smelted, that would still be in the physical. So I would think that would have to change with it.
Yeah, I don't have the example, but that's where the residues come in, because we have residues of people painting a ton of things about like the lion and the lamb, right? Isaiah something, I forgot, always like 14 something, so we have a lot of residue, including in movies, of lion and the lamb. Lion will lay down with the lamb, but now it's the wolf will dwell with the lamb. Okay, so the residue is, so it's kind of a mystery exactly how residue is working. Why we have coins that says Ellis Island for Statue of Liberty when it's on Liberty Island now, and why everybody thinks that it was on Ellis Island when it was on Liberty Island, etc. Okay.
Hey guys, sorry I'm jumping in. I know you're trying to close this stream flow. Sorry, man.
No, you're good. I would have just not let you up if I was that determined about it. But what you got?
What's up?
Okay, so one thing. Okay, let me go here. I don't know. That's just going through my mind as I'm watching your guys' stream, which is so weird. But anyway, so like some things about the Mandela effect. Man, I totally find crazy about like the sun and the moon and how they totally are like they totally do have relationships with us. Like we all see the sun and the moon differently. They reflect in the water. They reflect it in the clouds differently. And anyone will say that the sun's reflection is different for every single person. The moon's fucking light in the clouds is different for every single person.
How would they know? What? I've never heard that, but I don't know how you would be able to know that, anyways.
Well, but it's reality. It's like you can totally know it. You ask somebody that's 10 miles away from you, and if you see a full moon in the sky, and there's a few clouds in the sky, the moon lights up the clouds like right next to you. And
well, that's obviously a reflection of a reflection.
Well, no,
something that's. I'm just kidding.
The reflection of a reflection. Oh, that's I don't know. That sounds like bullshit. But anyways, it's something unexplainable. But that also gets into the stuff you guys were talking about before, and the Mandela effect. That everything is like is different from person to person, yeah, and you guys were talking about quantum physics too. And you guys were like joking like 3 hours ago. I was cooking a turkey, and we're doing I'm in Canada, where Thanksgiving is way before you guys here. But so I was like in between cooking a turkey and listening to podcasts, and I was dropping in and out of your show, and you guys were talking about quantum physics, and you're like, who the fuck actually understands quantum physics? And you guys were joking around about it, and I was joking, I was laughing too. I was like, yeah, who the fuck actually knows about what? But what they like, it is funny, like truth in plain sight. Like they have to tell you the truth, where it is almost truth. That like, but it is weird. Like, if a tree falls in the forest, does anybody hear like that whole thing? And like, if somebody sees something, it changes reality. Like, how the fuck does all that work? But it is true at the same point. It is kind of true. Like, I don't know.
We don't know. I mean, we don't know how it's working. At the bottom line is, but we can deduce by deduction that something is happening. First of all, you have to be affected. A, do you believe it's happening or not happening? And then you question why it's happening the way it is. Okay. If you don't believe in the Mandela effect, then nothing is happening. If you don't believe in the Mandela effect, then the only thing that makes sense is that everybody's having a collective mismemory. Okay, because you're basing everything on a material notion that everything is solid. It cannot be changed. If if a book is written in a particular way, it is written that way, and it cannot be changed. Now, as far as like what is happening, we don't know, but like we can start to eliminate some possibilities. For an example, I am eliminating time travel as a possibility, because like Back to the Future, for example, you go back to the past, you change whatever events that's going to happen. Now you're in a quote unquote different timeline. Everybody within that timeline will not remember anything. Only you who traveled from one timeline to another, you remember. That's it. Okay. But for everybody else, it was just the way it was. Right. But for you came from one timeline, you traveled back, and then you went on a different trajectory. You changed.
It's very interesting. I'm not sure, Notch, but also like I had one more
Okay,
thing.
that makes sense.
With the Mandela effect thing too, I was listening to Brian. He was live a few hours ago too, and I was jumping between your guys' streams, and they were talking about Caesar, the word like the spelling of Caesar. They were talking on this thing about the spellings, and it is actually so weird about the Mandela effect too, because it does affect everybody differently at different times, and we don't even remember the timeline. But it's just something weird. Okay, so um, I just jumped onto their stream. They're talking about spellings of words, and they said Caesar, and a lot of us and a lot of people remember the word CEA, like Caesar salad, but Caesar's name was never spelled CEA. It was like CA. But and they were all like, "Oh, it's a Mandela effect," and at the same time, so there's contradictions too because the timeline is different for me because I played this game Fallout. I back when I was 20, and it was like my favorite video game. But they spelt it the way it's spelt now, back like 10 years ago, CA, and I remember, and they didn't like actually say it audibly. They it was just spelt on the screen, and I was always pronouncing it in my head like Kazar, and so I thought this fucking guy in this video game was Kazar, and but in reality it was Caesar, and so there, and this is like 10 years ago, but so now they're all saying this is like a new Mandela effect, this whole Caesar thing, but it's like something that I went through like 10 years ago, but I didn't even think it was a Mandela effect. I just thought I'm a dumb fuck that doesn't know how to spell. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
I do think that
Well,
was the
okay,
case. Like I'm pretty sure it's
yeah,
always been.
but here's the thing. It's like like if you put two people together who are both Mandela affected and you give them 100 questions, no two individuals going to get exact 100 questions correct according to it's not going to match up with each other. What I mean by that is that if that's the case, that no two individuals going to have exact same memories about maybe 10 memories they can get right, but after 100, they're going to start to diverge. And if you get enough people to start to diverge, then the question is going to be, is everybody coming from their own reality? And then there's some kind of a Venn diagram that's happening, or is there such thing as mismemory? I do believe that mismemory does play a part, and there are a lot of people who claim certain things within the Mandela effect community actually are misremembering things. So they sensationalize it. I think that is a factor. We're talking about human beings, and people have the capability to lie within the flat Earth community, within the Mandela effect community, and then they may genuinely believe in their lies as well. Okay, so that's also a factor that you have to consider. I call it downloading, and downloading is actually a terminology that I came out with a number of years ago. But like it's a terminology that they use within the Mandela effect quite a bit. Is that there's an official narrative of what's going on, and you've already downloaded the official narrative. So for you, nothing has changed. For the individual who already has gotten the download, like as an example, I remember watching the Tiananmen Square when I was growing up, and I always thought the guy was carrying a brief rate case, and he stopped the row of tanks. Now I have friends who remember that the guy got ran over by the tanks, but it's no longer the case. How do you know that I have how do I know that I have the download? Because my memory matches up with what is going on now as the official narrative. How do I know that they're Mandela affected? They remember, and not just one individual, multiple individuals who remember the guy being run over by the tank, but that's no longer the case. If you look at the history of things. So if your memory matches up exactly the way it is now, then most likely you got the download. And if there are a number of people who are coming up and say, hey, I remember something completely different, like I forget that singer's name. If it was Bon Jovi or somebody else, like people remember him having like a handkerchief in his back pocket, and then now he's got a red hat in his back pocket. Now, neither of those mean anything to me because I never experienced it. I don't care about it. But I believe the people who say that they used to believe that it was a handkerchief rather than a mega hat, as an example. Does that make sense? What I just said?
In a
You're talking
holographic
about Bruce. You're talking about Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, it could
I
be
think?
Bruce. Yeah, Bruce. Yeah, exactly. Even I don't even know, but some guy, with a red hat in his back pocket, or
I don't know. I
a
didn't spend as
handkerchief.
much time looking at man butt as you.
Oh yes, that's what I do with all my time.
Got him.
Just
Got
looking at
him.
burned.
Anyway,
I
so
still,
Anyways,
I
it's
still think though that I don't think you can separate your memory from physical reality. If the real thinker changed in tangible reality, then your tangible reality would have built the real thinker then on the other timeline, and your memory would be different.
man, I'm right on the borderline. Like I've been following Brian Staveley for like 4 years, and I love it, man. I love just thinking about this stuff in general, just because it's cool to think about it, to bend your brain, man. Once you get into flat Earth and like Mandela effect, like people think that, oh, you're gonna go crazy if you like look into this shit, and sometimes
They're not
your life
always wrong, I don't think.
circumstances maybe don't reflect the, but I think it is healthy to bend your mind and to bend your thinking into like different ways of thinking, and yeah, I love the Mandela effect portion, but like there's 1,000 ways to analyze it also, like possibly we could have been brainwashed by the television for the last 20 years with
Well, for sure we have been.
well, we already, yeah, like for sure 100%, but like maybe there's something in that too, but that's just like a theory. Like I haven't analyzed it or anything, but like there's 1,000 different explanations for the Mandela effect. But I also love the God thing, and that he's showing us, and that he's changing reality. Like it does. I'm into it, but I just don't buy any one. Like I got to be 100%, and still we don't know. Brian doesn't know. You don't know. Nachikita doesn't know. None of us know the true thing. So we're still looking into it. So it is nice to just like figure it out, and yeah, rigorously look into it, and maybe there is a different explanation. Like don't just glom onto the one explanation and just take a tent pole and say this is the truth, this is the truth, and this is it, man, this is what I know. Who knows we none of us know, but yeah.
Well, I
you
mean,
know, you
like,
stop learning.
yeah, I mean, this, like, again, we can't get kind of caught up with this quote unquote knowing. I mean, like, there are different layers to it. It's like constant breakthrough and epiphanies of trying to wrap one's mind around it. First of all, is it happening or not? It's very much up to the individual to come to that conclusion themselves. Now, once you have come to that conclusion, it's like, yes, it's genuinely happening to me. There's no possible fucking way that I misremembered, like, the wineskins, like that. For me, like the wineskins and the Lion and the Lamb is the thing that really brought me over. Like that's when I really, because I have my Bible. I've carried my Bible for a long time. Not that I am like wholly familiar with like the whole of the Bible, but I am familiar with those verses within my Geneva Bible. And once I was hit with the Mandela effect that it was a possibility, I had to reread these verses and then realize that they have changed from wine skins to wine bottles, and it's not some mismemory. For me, it was a definite thing. Now, once that I got into into the room of the Mandela effect, I had to try to figure out what was actually happening. Now, for the last like 4 or 5 years, really, since like 2018, I've been wanting to try to figure out. Now, I haven't come to any conclusions about it, about what is exactly happening, but I have come to some conclusions about what is not happening, using deduction,
Like
like the
what?
time travel as an example. Like people talk about time travel is happening, and I'm saying, like, logically, I don't think that's a possibility. Other people thinking it's like a holographic simulation theory, which there's a lot of credence to, because with that, when you're in a holodeck, anything can be changed around, right? What is the nature of reality? So all those kind of things is actually helps one to question about what is the reality. Why am I here? You know, what is this all for? Is it happening by chance? You know, and et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of question that arises. More questions tend to arise than answers usually.
It
That's the
is like
problem. And
it,
people are,
it is like Flat Earth 2.0, man. Once you go to Flat Earth, and yeah, man, and man, Mandela effect is like once you open yourself and you have accepted the flat Earth thing, and then not even say it's flat. Like we all know that we don't know what it is, but we just know it's not what they've told us. So whatever. Who knows
yeah.
what the fuck
But
it is?
that's a knowing. But that's the knowing
Yeah,
because before you knew that you were on a spinning ball, before you knew that we were flying around in space, all this kind of stuff. But now you have a different understanding that it is not what they told you. So you're
exactly.
eliminating different possibilities,
And
right?
then it
Based
fucks
on
you
your
up. It fucks you up that you know that it's not what they told you. Like it fucking destroys everything, man. Once you know that it destroys like what the whole mainstream, everyone in your whole family, every single person that you know, thinks that we're on a ball floating in space. It's fucking crazy, man. It is fucked up. And then you know that it's wrong. And when you tell them that it's wrong, they call you a fucking retard.
I don't even
And
try.
you're just like, man, like it's obvious. It's obvious. Like, are you fucking retarded? And you try to like, yeah, but all of us have been through this. I know we do have,
well,
but
it's not about retardation. It's just about programming and having the ability to deprogram oneself, you know, based on the kind of conditioning that you receive. Because like the flat Earth has always been there. It was always the flat Earth. It's that our perspective of what this reality was been obfuscated, right? And over time, when you start to unveil what's actually happening, you see reality for what it is. So we're going through this kind of unveiling process right now. We call it the apocalypse. That's what apocalypse means. It's the unveiling of what this reality, and the reality is actually showing itself for what it is. The
I
demons
love
have been in disguise all along. You know, they're not the you see the wolves for what they are, and you thought that they were sheep.
I love your terminology, Nachikita, man. Like you put it into such good terminology because that's what it is. But that's what even makes people more freaked out. That's the reality. Is like the terminology is like our reality. Is not what we know. But once you put it, then it changes it into like the Matrix and like this thing that people can't even understand because everybody's material. That's what the universe is material, and that's what they've fucking created is this material universe. And but yeah, it's actually a reality. And what is reality? That makes it not a material thing. And yeah, what like all these things, the Vedic teachings and things aren't reality. Things aren't material, or they are reality, but they're not material. Yeah, this material world is, yeah, it's well, who knows what the fuck it is? We're just figuring it out. Yeah, man, it's so crazy, man, and how brainwashed our whole society has been. Ah, man, and I'm such a yeah. But I love how you talk about it, man. Like, fuck, it's awesome. Anyways,
Okay, well, I appreciate that, and I'm gonna say good night. I got some things to do, but thanks for having me on. Oh, go ahead, Flo, if you have any thing that you want to say to me before I
Oh
go.
no. I was just saying bye. And what did I do? Here it is.
More people showed up. Hi again, Eileen,
Can you see
Angeline.
that?
Yeah, stay negative. I just see the cat and the rainbow
No.
and the stay negative.
Trying to show a. How about now?
Yeah, yeah. 27
Okay.
and 2012.
This is for Rob down there in the comments. How big is America? That's all.
Yeah, I mean, just look into it a little bit. I mean, like,
Just a little
there's so
bit.
many channels
Or
nowadays. Yeah.
just watch India's moon landing, and then go find the videos of NASA talking about India's moon landing, but never saying like, "Oh yeah, that's graphics from a calculator game."
It's a joke, you know. It's an IQ test. It's just like the CB thing, you know.
Yep.
It's just to like, you know, where are you in terms of your discernment, you know? Like, are you gonna put this diaper on your face or not? And you know, like, what have you bought into? So they from their perspective, they're gonna constantly gaslight on, and they're gonna throw the kitchen sink. And then if they have, if they're cornered, which they are, you know, they're gonna do everything they can, and they rather see the world burn down to a crisp rather than be responsible for what they've done. Okay, that's where we are now. But like, if you as an individual, you're buying into whatever that they're selling, that's your problem, you know.
Yep. Are you stupid enough to kill yourself?
Yeah.
Isn't there's like a mural or something in the CIA headquarters that says
UN,
something?
I think.
Is it UN? Well, no, you're thinking of the UN flag. I'm thinking of something else that says like, we know our job is complete when everything.
That's the CIA. It's a lie.
Yeah. What's
Yeah.
that quote? Everything is a lie. When everything people believe is a lie.
Yeah. That's a CIA quote. But there are a couple of murals that are famous, like the one in Denver Airport, you know, with the guy with a gas mask on, and he's got a scimitar, you know, and you have the German boy, you know, who's going to be who are leading the like a you know, multiple multiracial thing that's happening there. So there's a mural there. I don't know if that you're, and then there's murals in the UN building in New York as well. So.
No, I was thinking that it was like, actually that quote was on the walls or something, but maybe it wasn't. Or on like a mural on the floor of the CIA headquarters, but I guess it may not have been.
These secret.
We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. That was William Casey, the CIA director, from his first staff meeting in 1981.
It's about government. It's about the controlling of the mind from the very beginning. You know, all these you know, alphabet agencies are interconnected with each other. You talk about the Mossad or the MI6, the KGB or the CIA or the FBI. It does not matter, right? You know, they're the ones who created Bitcoin. You know, it's the NSA and the CIA who spearheaded that. You know, and so it's all been used from the beginning. Yes, people did get rich off it, and then, you know, they believed in the decentralization of this kind of stuff. But then, you know, these are just psychological operations, more or less. You know, so I can't tell you how much they are in control or how much they're not in control. It's difficult for me to say, but whatever that is happening out there is not. I think it's definitely mass manipulation. You know, so many things are involved, but that's that's
I
why
think
we
there's
talk about
less
these things.
control than we give credit for, and more like with the pews at the schools and stuff. I don't think that those are controlled. I also don't think they're organic. I think that if you roll a whole bunch of crazy people down the hill intentionally, one of them's gonna, you know, hit a school.
Yeah. You know, it's like an avalanche. You don't know which snowflake is going to cause the avalanche, but if enough snowflakes fall on a mountain, you know it's going to cause an avalanche, kind of deal. Yeah, but there's SSRIs involved, right? With a lot of these so-called pews.
Those are
then,
involved.
you know, you have
and so I mean, I think that they're you know, Michelob Ultras.
And then there's I don't want to say the word, but Gandhi book in that event as well. Let's, you know,
There's
you know
what
I'm talking about.
Do a little bit.
Gandhi book. S and H. You know, involving ook.
I don't know. Help me out, Bearsworth, or chat.
Handy Crook. How about Handy Crook? Does that ring a bell? Handy Crook?
No, it's way too late for me to be able to decipher.
Oh my God! Do I need to just spell it out? SAN.
Pantyhose. There's lots of pantyhose.
SANDY. SNDI.
I don't know. Just say the word.
Alex
Okay,
Jones got in
Sandy.
trouble for it.
Oh my God. Yeah. No. Yeah, I can't.
Okay, so that event was completely fabricated. There was no one died, no shooter, no nothing. Okay,
I would believe
and
that.
yeah, crisis actors were hired, and a lot of these families were given houses as payments and stuff like this. So there are events that are just completely like there's no nothing
Well, but
involved.
now you think
But
about this current event, like totally, man. Like I don't know, man. Like after going through like every false flag, like I don't know. It's like you're like looking at all the facts, and you're like, okay, I can't say anything too soon. But this current event is looking a lot. And when you look into the history of everything, the history of, the,
there are
that
different types. There are different types of false flags. Some are
That's
manipulated
probably
to make
one
it
of the
look like.
phrases, actually, too.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think so. Go ahead,
So,
though.
but no, what I'm saying is that there are different levels of it. There's something that is completely made out of nothing, and some are like with the history between, the Middle East. Let's just say that they've been like kind of cooking that for a very long time.
totally,
Okay,
and it might be
so
real. Like people may have passed away. Yeah, possibly.
yeah,
And maybe they're
yeah. I mean,
doing.
I
Yeah,
think they're LARPing. They're live action role playing essentially.
but
They genuinely believe what they believe, but they've been conditioned that way through like a long history of like trauma, essentially, and that this apartheid type of a political situation, and people are genuinely expressing what they're expressing, but that is manufactured by a third group.
yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Angeline, I'm here. I'm gonna be there in 5 minutes. The stars are amazing out there. So happy that I was able to get like this drive went by pretty quick. Just being in such a cool conversation.
Yeah,
See, but
this definitely helped.
All right. Well, glad to be of service. This is a good place for us to stop. Any brief last words? Notch, you
No.
do you have second last words?
No, thanks for having me on. Good night, and talk to you later. See you next time.
Jesse,
Peace.
second
Good night,
last
everybody.
words.
Just wanted to say that about what I thought about the Mandela effect. That what I wanted to say about the holographic universe, how they can manipulate that, and then also what nobody mentioned is creation. The creator source can change things for us in order to flow with whatever the plan of creation is. So those are just some thoughts that I wanted to say. But awesome. Have a great night. Thanks a lot, Flo. Thanks for everybody that participated, and love you, Angeline. I'm so happy to be seeing you very, very soon.
Bearsworth, thoughts?
Great conversation. Thanks, man. I'm sorry I came on. Yeah. Anyways.
No, you're good. You're good. You're always welcome. And I would have just ended it if it was that big a deal. Angeline, final thoughts.
I don't know. I jumped on. You guys are still talking, and same as before. This was fun. You guys are awesome. All the different views. I have a hard time with a ton of them because I have a completely different view on all of that stuff, but I'm not about to like jump in every second and be like, So.
I have a hard time with a lot of the views expressed here as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and I have a hard time with Mandela effect. It fucking
fucks your brain up.
Yeah, it does. You mentioned earlier, Bearsworth, that the Mandela effect and flat Earth were similar, and I think they're definitely different because one you can sort of test.
Tangible.
You can
tangible.
one's yeah, that's what I'm looking for. One's tangible and one's completely just detached.
It's kind of fucking yeah. That's why I have a hard time. I'm in your boat, man. I love Brian Savely, and I don't want to attack him at all.
Rob. Yeah, it didn't. You gotta dig into some of these things. I can tell you've never looked into some of these things, because if you had, I mean, I've never met anybody who's like, yeah, I was suspicious of it, and I did my research, and I'm not suspicious now. It was totally real.
All I know is our
not
beliefs
once
are
ever.
really powerful.
Is what?
All I know is our beliefs are really powerful, and we need to be mindful of that and what we're creating.
That's the one thing I know too, is that that's the thing that makes me believe in it, is that like the whole thing with the water, and like there's so much shit we don't know about that science doesn't tell us about giving fucking rice love, putting love on a fucking jar of rice in your cupboard, which I did that experiment, and it works. Like the one that you give love. Yeah, so there's so much shit we can't explain that science can't explain, and so yeah, there is stuff that we can't explain, and yeah, so much stuff that we're not told about, like the waters below, like a million things that like once you go down the rabbit holes and look into, that's the only thing that does give it validity. But that's the one thing that flat Earth, is tangible. It's totally 100% tangible, because you can go out and take a camera and take some measurements, and you can prove that the curvature is a lie.
How do you make love to your jar of rice?
All you have to do is put jars of rice in a cupboard. Take 4 jars. And one you fucking give, but you do it with anything in everyday life, anything, baking, Yorkshire puddings, anything. If you give it love, it'll turn out, man. And I started doing that as an experiment in life, and that's the best thing about life, is to do things in life. And yeah, man, pizza dough. Anything like that's living.
You make
if you
love
give
to
it
pizza dough?
No. All you do is tangibly try and give it love. I tell my kids, I have 2 kids, and I never used to do that. And before, it always was like hit or miss, like and like going through hard times and whatever. And it was like, the fucking the Yorkshire puddings turned into hockey pucks, and I never knew why. And it was just like I fucking put the exact same ingredients in the fucking dish, and they're hockey pucks. But I was in a bad mood doing it. I wasn't thinking about it, and fucking yeah. But once you think about it and you're trying to give it love and you're giving it intention, it fucking turns out like amazing. And after like putting it through a trial, it's like every time it works out when you actually take the time while you're doing it, and you tell your kids to give it love and to talk to it, and maybe like say, hi, how's it going? My name's Luca. Yeah. And just any intention and be like, hi, I love you. It works out. It fucking, like, just with baking and food and making food. That's how one way I proved it to myself, because it worked. It's fucking crazy. Just with food, with baking. Yeah. Pizza dough.
Now, if you had a 30-second soundbite to tell the people to what's your sales pitch for making love to food?
It's not even making love to food. It's just intention. You
don't make love to the food anymore?
I've never made love. I've never stuck my dick into any food products.
Damn it. You know what I'm doing, don't you?
But
fine. I guess you won't be a short. All right. Thanks for coming.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Uh-huh.
Peace out.